So I came to Cranfield with the idea, very similar to when I went to flight school to learn how to fly aeroplanes. I came to Cranfield to learn about business. And during the course of the time, whilst at Cranfield, I decided that the way forward would be to run my own business. And with the guidance of the staff at Cranfield, very quickly realised the key thing is to stick with basically what you know, your previous background. So that is why I've had a career mainly in air transportation all the way through, and I've been involved in 3 airlines. One called Connect Air, which I was the founder of back in 1982. There was a business plan written at Cranfield on the entrepreneurship course, and which finally got going in association with an airline called British Caledonian, and funded by the biggest then venture capitalist investors in industry, 3i. And subsequently I became involved in independent director work, introduced by 3i, the venture capitalist behind the business, and have been involved with buses, London buses, hospitals, healthcare group, a health and fitness group of gyms, Cannon's Fitness Gyms, and then latterly I've been involved with a small venture capital trust, and also I've become a founder investor in an airline based in Central and Eastern Europe called Wizz Air, which currently has 37 Airbuses and carried 10 million people last year and is turning over just short of €1 billion and it's doing quite well despite the high oil prices. In the current climate, I really don't think that any of this is my personal view, I don't think that any of the basic and key features of leadership have ever changed. They are as old as mankind. It goes back to before Julius Caesar, right the way back into the history of time. And the most important to me would be integrity, tenacity, a sense of vision of where you're going and why, even if it is one of retrenchment. I've had the privilege recently to work with somebody who really was most impressive in a situation where a company had to be folded. And the way that he led the withdrawal, and actually it's one of the signs of great generalship, and you forgive me, from time to time I will have military connotations, great generals are made if they can cope with retreat in an organised and orderly manner. Winning victories is easier than organising a properly well-structured retreat. The most important lessons that I've learnt through a working life are to never give up, number one. Number two, to listen to people who know more about the subject than I do. Those are absolutely the 2 key things. The latter is to do with being part of a team building. The former is tenacity. It's something that you have to do in life if you're going to get anything to happen, because you can please some of the people some of the time, not all of the people all of the time, and in the process of which there are going to be moments when the vision that you have is challenged, and you either adapt to what you hear and that is sensible, or you say you have to say, no, I'm sorry, we have to keep it going this way, and time will tell whether you prove right or not. The other lesson is based on timing. Timing when to get into business, when to grow it, and when to get out of business. And there have been a couple of occasions when the timing has been completely wrong and an activity has not worked out, and you look back with hindsight and see that you're actually pedaling up a very steep hill when if you just waited a little bit, there'd have been easier ground to cover. Team building and how do you identify the people is probably the most critical feature of any kind of business enterprise, or indeed any kind of life. Family should be a team, if you get it right. There are systems that you can go through, which are, there are headhunters, and you go through all that procedure, and you read CVs, and you look for people who, in the early stages of business, who complement and are able to fill out the bits that the entrepreneur doesn't have a handle on, has no handle on whatsoever. And so, but most important is a kind of personality fit. And we're not talking about chums, we're talking about somebody's, boys and girls, who have the intellectual ability and strength to talk well and challenge in a constructive way, so that you feel comfortable that they will be consensual. It's totally important to have consensual management teams, and I've always tried to work with a group of about 6 people, if I have any say in the matter. And the most critical thing is to find somebody in that group who will be your replacement, who will step up, who will step into your shoes, because the business needs to continue beyond a particular phase, say startup and growth. It needs to continue into new ownership and indeed be able to grow different levels of structure below it. So the key, and I have been very fortunate in the particular person who for 20 years was alongside me, did absolutely step up, and he stepped up halfway through the 20 years, and there were 2 different businesses, and I was able to move away, and therefore did not stay anywhere for more than about 6 or 7 years. It's a combination of personality fit, and you've got to feel comfortable about that, but also the skill base that they bring. And that, for an entrepreneur, you have to recognise how little you know. And you need finance, marketing, operations, you name it, IT, and then you put into place there, and then they, in their turn, build their departments in the same way. So it's a team building process with a cascade down the system. Yeah. Other things that you need to think about is allow people to make mistakes and get alongside them when they do. There's a famous way of looking at it is that if a financial mistake has been made, is that you've invested that money in them so that they don't make it the next time. So have a sense of humour. Keep smelling the roses. There's always life when times are tough. There's always a life outside. Go for a walk in the park. Have fun with your wife and kids. Get the balance in life right. The work family balance right. Have stability zones, so places where you can have time on your own time. Don't be swamped or overwhelmed by other people's problems all of the time. There's no need to. You can withdraw. You're entitled to. Take your holiday. Poor old David Cameron. I feel sorry for him, but there you go. But take time. Look after yourself, because you're no good if you're firing on half a cylinder.